uh, we had left with two things. That is, one was the function generation, path generation, and body guidance. This is one concept, a very small concept. And the last part, that is crank rocker mechanism with optimum transmission angle. So these two things were remaining. Let us try to cover them in today's class. Okay, so let me start with the function generation. This is already discussed what a function generation is. Here, the input link and output link are correlated with each other with by some function. So, definition point of view, it says that a design that is causing the output link either to rotate or oscillate or reciprocate according to some specified function of time, then that is called as function generation. So the example over here is, if you take a conveyor belt or a conveyor line, here the output member, that is nothing but the conveyor belt, is required to move at a constant velocity, okay, while performing some operation like bottle capping, return, pickup, and etc. Okay, so the movement of the belt at a constant velocity, or even the movement of the belt with the intermittent motion, is nothing but the function that is desired. So the movement of this falls under the function generation category. Similarly, we have path generation. Okay, so here the coupler point or the link is required to trace or generate a path of desired shape. Okay, so it can be either circle, ellipse, straight line, or so on. So the examples we can give here is the mechanisms which are used in the shaping machine. So wherein the tool is moving in a straight line or reciprocating along a straight line. See, the tool which has to reciprocate along a straight line is of course a function, but here the our point of concern is what shape or what path a particular link has to move. Okay, instead of a function, say just like if I take y is equal to sine x or y is equal to cos x, this function will is not going to define as the path over here. It is only focusing on the function. But if you take a mechanism like say elliptical triangle, wherein the objective of the elliptical triangle is to trace an ellipse, also it can trace a circle. So here we are more focused or more concerned about the shape or the path which the link will generate. So such mechanisms are categorized under path generation. Lastly, it's body guidance. Here it refers to moving an entire object from one position to another position. This movement may be translation or rotational or combination. Okay, the best example is moving of scoops in the construction industry or the bulldozer blades. So the moving of scoops, of course, it has a function. It is moving along a particular path, but here the entire link is completely moving from one position to another position. So when such things come into picture, it is categorized under body guidance. So the body guidance and path generation do possess the function generation also. In addition to that, they are having these unique features. That is, one generates a specific path, and in this case, it completely displaces a body from one position to another position. Okay, so this is all about the function generation, path generation, and body guidance. These are the three different categories based on which the mechanisms are designed. Okay, now let us go to the next important concept. It's called as optimum transmission angle. Okay, so if you remember, we have studied a concept called as mechanical advantage. So in mechanical advantage, we have already highlighted what is the transmission angle. It was mu. Okay, I hope you remember that. Okay, so the same thing we have written here. The first point, it says that mechanisms which are having less than 40 degree as their transmission angle, they are not desirable or they are not accepted for high speed designs. Okay, why? Because we have discussed, if the angle is small, okay, if the value of theta or mu is small over here, then mechanical advantage equation will further become very small, and even a smallest friction between the links or the joints will cause the mechanism to jam or lock. So we need to ensure that the mechanism or the transmission angle is at optimum level in order to perform the desired function. Second point is we need to know what is the position of that particular 4-bar link at which the transmission angle is minimum. Okay, so whenever the transmission angle is happening minimum, then what is the position of the 4-bar linkage? So with these two objectives, let us study what is the optimum transmission angle. Okay, so I wish you guys note down this diagram. So this is the starting point of the derivation to get the optimum transmission angle. So here I have taken a simple 4-bar mechanism, M, A, B, and Q. These are the 4 endpoints of the mechanism. And the crank, that is MA, is making an angle of theta 2 with respect to horizontal axis or with respect to the fixed link. And the transmission angle, which is the angle between the coupler link AB and the output link BQ, is denoted by mu. Okay, so mu stands for the transmission angle. Theta 2 is the angle made by the crank with respect to the fixed link. The small letters, that is, just a minute. Yeah, the small letters A, B, C, D, and small m, these represent the length of those particular link. That means MA link length is equal to small a, AB link length is equal to small b. Similarly, BQ link length is equal to small c and MQ is equal to small d. We also have one more angle over here, that is theta 4. It is the angle made by the output link with respect to the fixed link measured in counterclockwise direction. Okay, so this is the initial drawing, initial setup from where we are going to start the derivation and get the optimum transmission angle. So our major concern is this angle, mu. I want to know what is the maximum transmission angle one can have, what is the minimum transmission angle one mechanism can have, and during this extreme values, how the mechanism is going to look. Okay, so I hope it is clear till this step. If you have any doubts, please let me know, or else I'll proceed to the next slide.
So here we are finding expression for mu, right?
Not exactly the expression for mu. See, we are having two objectives. One, what will happen when the transmission angle mu becomes minimum or maximum? How the mechanism is going to look? That is our first objective, to understand the working of that. The second objective is to find out what is the optimum, what is the procedure to get the optimum value of mu so that the mechanisms can be used for high speed operations. Generally, the best angle for mu is 90 degrees. Okay, if the link, that is the connecting link and the output link, if they are at right angle, then the mechanism operation will be extremely smooth and it can be used for extremely high speed operations. But not all the time it will be 90, it will sometime go on reducing also. So I need to know what is the optimum value it should have in order to use these mechanisms. Okay, so having said this, let us move to the next slide. I've just reduced the size of this diagram now. So I'm going to use the cosine rule for two triangles. One is MAQ, okay, that is this triangle, the lower left triangle, and AQB happens to be the upper right corner. Okay, so that's AQB. So for these two triangles, I'm going to use the cosine rule, and let us see what we are going to get. So for the first one, that is the lower triangle, if I use the cosine rule, m square, let me erase all these things. M square will be equal to a square plus d square minus 2ad into cos of angle between them, that is theta 2. So I'm going to get my equation number 1 by considering the lower triangle and using the cosine rule. M square equal to a square plus d square minus 2ad cos of theta 2. Okay, this is our equation number 1. Now if I consider the top right corner triangle, that is aqb, I'm going to again get m square equal to, I'm again going to get m square equal to b square plus c square minus 2bc into cos of angle between them, that is mu. Okay, so for first lower triangle I got this equation, equation number 1. For the top right triangle I got this equation, which is equation number 2. If you I have also posted the entire notes for this particular today's session, that is optimum transmission angle, on your Google Classroom also. So in case if I'm going fast or slow, you can just refer those notes also. So using these cosine rules, we have got these two equations. We can observe that the LHS of equation 1 and 2 are same, that is m square. Okay, because of which I'm going to equate equation number 1 and 2 so that the LHS terms are equated, and directly I can go for the matching of the right hand terms. So I'm going to equate this term a square plus d square minus 2ad cos theta 2 with b square plus c square minus 2bc cos mu. So that is what I've equated over here. Okay. The next step, I'm going to differentiate this equation with respect to theta, or with respect to the angle, you can say, not theta, with respect to the angle, because the link lengths are fixed, they are not going to change. The only thing that is going to change is the angle between the links as it rotates or as it moves. So the variable parameter is, one is this cos theta 2 is a variable parameter, and second one is cos mu. Rest all other terms are constants, or they are having fixed link lengths. So if I differentiate from the LHS, what we are going to get is differentiation of a constant 0, differentiation of d square is also 0, differentiation of only minus 2ad cos theta 2. So here I have taken minus 2ad as a constant, and differentiation of cos theta 2 I have written it as minus sin theta 2 into d theta 2. Okay, because we are differentiating with respect to the angle over here. So cos theta becomes sin theta, and differentiation of theta becomes d theta over here. Similarly on RHS, b square is constant, c square is constant, so the differentiation becomes 0 over here, and differentiation of minus 2bc cos mu happens to be minus 2bc is constant, cos mu becomes minus sin mu into d mu. A very basic and simple differentiation of the equation. I hope it is clear and you don't have any doubts here. Okay, so once I get this equation, I'll just rearrange the terms. That is, I am going to put this d mu and d theta on one side, and rest all other terms on the other side in this fashion. That is, I'm taking d mu upon d theta 2 will come over here, and this entire 2bc sin mu will go over here. So I'm getting d mu upon d theta 2 is equal to 2ad sin theta 2 divided by 2bc sin mu. Both are having minus sign, so it got cancelled. So I've just written a positive sign over here. Is it clear? So in the next step, what I've done here, where till this step, I've just cancelled this 2 and this 2, and whatever is the remainder, I've written it over here. D mu upon d theta 2 is equal to AD upon BC sin theta 2 upon sin mu. Now, can anyone tell me, uh, as I said, the variable parameters are the angle over here. To get the minimum and maximum values of a particular equation of first order, what are we supposed to do? I'll repeat the question. I have a first order equation. What are we supposed to do with that equation in order to get the maximum and minimum values?
Say differentiate and equate it to zero.
Exactly. So this is a basic calculus what you have studied. If you differentiate the first order equation and equate it to zero, and if you solve for the parameter, variable parameter, you can get the extreme values, that is maximum and minimum. That is what we are going to do now here. So I've written to get the optimum points, and I'm saying optimum, I'm just talking about the maximum and minimum here. The first derivative must be equated to zero. So already you can see that d mu upon d theta 2 means it is the first derivative. Already the first derivative is there on the LHS. So I'm just going to equate the RHS to zero in order to get the optimum points. Okay. So d mu upon d theta 2, which is equal to AD sin theta 2 upon BC sin mu, should be equal to zero. We are equating just to get the optimum points. Okay, so when will this equation satisfy this? Either A has to be zero, which is not true. A has some length. Either D has to be zero, that is also not true. Or this sin theta 2 must be zero. So for sin theta 2 to be zero, the value of theta 2 must be either 0 degrees or 180 degrees. So again, that's what I've written here. In order to satisfy this equation, the value of theta 2 must be either 0 or it should be 180. Only then the sine value will become 0 and numerator becomes 0. So the entire equation will become 0. Now let us see, if theta 2 is 0, how the diagram is going to look and what will happen to the mu value. And if theta 2 is 180, what will happen to the diagram. Please note that these are the two extreme values. Theta 2 cannot be less than 0 now, and theta 2 cannot be greater than 180 also. These are the extreme values. So I've taken the first case when theta 2 is 0. What is happening to the diagram? So before that, let me again go back to the original diagram here. Here, this was our original diagram. Now I want to make this theta 2 equal to 0. It is at some degrees. If I make this 0, point A will come and lie on this fixed link. I hope you got it. Similarly, if I make theta 2 as 180, then point A will come this side and lie on the horizontal link. The same thing we have shown here. When theta 2 is 0, you can see that point has come over and lied on the MQ line. And during that time, the angle between AB and BQ, that is connecting link and output link, is the transmission angle. It becomes minimum. That is, I am writing it as mu min. So when theta 2 is 0, the value of mu becomes mu minimum. Similarly, when theta 2 is 180 degrees, point A will go to the other side. Okay, so this is your theta 2. Okay, this is your theta 2, which is 180 degrees now. So in this case, the transmission angle mu will be equal to mu max. Okay, so this is theta, which is 180 degrees. So during this, your transmission angle mu will become maximum. That's why we are going to term it as mu max. Okay, you can clearly see that we cannot increase this value of mu further. This is a maximum value. Further now, if I again increase the angle by more than 180 degrees, A will start rotating like this, due to which again the value of mu will go on reducing. So when A is over here, that is the maximum value of transmission angle you are going to get. Okay. Now, okay.
Sir, previous slide, please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. In the next diagram, just let me explain one diagram which is on the left hand side. Uh, Sorry. Okay, this one. So here what I've done is I have merged the two diagrams which you had seen earlier. So when I merge, point Q and Q will overlap. Okay, point M and M will also overlap. But in one case, point A was towards the right side of M. That is when mu is mu minimum. Similarly, on other diagram, point A was on the left side of point M when mu was mu max. So I've just drawn this both the diagrams simultaneously, and then we have drawn the locus line for point B1 and B2. Okay, so I've just drawn a locus line for point B1 and point B2. Okay, from point M. This is our initial construction setup. Now what we are supposed to do with this diagram, just let me open another file over here. Okay, it is a little bit confusing, but we'll get it clear by the end of this class. Don't worry about that. So what they are writing here is, to obtain the linkage with optimum transmission angle, we need to choose a variety of points B1 on the locus of B1. Okay, so I'll repeat this. To first step is to get the optimum transmission angle. The first step is to choose a variety of points on B1. So to choose a variety of points B1 on the locus of B1. This is the first step. So you can see that we are having the locus of B1 over here. On this locus line, I am supposed to choose a variety of points B1. So that is B1 part 1, B1 part 2, B1 part 3, and so on. Variety of points. That is shown over here. Okay. So these two locus lines, whatever I drawn of B1 and B2, I've just highlighted those two locus line of B1 and B2. And on the locus of B1, I have highlighted multiple B1 points. As said in the step number 1, we have to choose multiple points on the locus of B1. So just for the example sake, I have chosen only 3 points. So I have named it as B1, B1, and B1 only. Okay. How did I get this B2? See, for this existing mechanism, I've highlighted here as a curve 1. So if you know B1, you can locate B2 by using this curve. Okay, because you know what is mu min and mu max, because you know what is theta 2. Based on theta 2, you will get to know what is mu min and mu max. So if I know one B1, I can locate B2. On the same way, on the locus of B1, we have located multiple B1 points. Similarly, I have got multiple B2 points for that, associated B2 points. So the first step is over here. Let us see what the second step says. They are asking us to determine the angles determinant of 90 minus mu min and determinant of 90 minus mu max for each of these linkages. This is the second step. I just put a bracket over here from here to here. Determine the angles 90 minus mu min, determinant of 90 minus mu min, and determinant of 90 minus mu max for each of these linkages. What do you mean by each of these linkages? So here, see here, curve 1. So B1, B2. So this combination is one mechanism. I'll go for second curve B1, B2. This is another set of or another mechanism over here. Similarly, if I go for curve 3, I'll again get B1 and B2. If I get B1, B2, that makes another mechanism. So like this, I can have n number of mechanism on these locus lines. So for each and every mechanism, so if I take just say curve 1, for this curve 1, I know what is B1 and B2 position. I need to find out 90 minus mu max determinant and 90 minus mu min determinant. Similarly, I'll go for curve number 2. For this position of B1 and B2, I need to find out what is again 90 minus mu max determinant, 90 minus mu min determinant, and keep on repeating this for all the curves. Okay, so once you have found out these two angles, that is 90 minus mu min and 90 minus mu max determinant for each and every curve, then we are supposed to plot a graph. See, the graph is something as shown in the figure over here, where the x-axis refers to the location of B1. Okay, what is this location of B1? Curve 1, curve 2, curve 3, and so on. So this is the location of B1. So that's what I've written here: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these are the 5 different curves of B1. And on the y-axis, I'm having a simple value called as 90 minus mu, just 90 minus mu, and I've scaled it like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so on. On this particular graph, say I will take curve number 2. Okay, so I've taken curve number 2. For this curve number 2, I will locate what is determinant of 90 minus mu max. I've got it over here. I've located. And also locate what is 90 minus mu min determinant, which is over here. Okay. Similarly, now you go for curve number 3. So for curve number 3, again I'll locate what is 90 minus mu min determinant, 90 minus mu max determinant. Similarly for curve 4, curve 5, and so on. So I'm whatever points I've located, I've just joined these points of 90 minus mu max determinant, and I've also joined the points of 90 minus mu min determinant. Okay, I'm going to stop till here. Let me know if you are having any doubts or you want me to repeat any particular step. Shall I repeat it?
Yes,
So
sir.
those plots, please repeat those plots again.
Yeah. So I hope till this step it was clear. Got
Yes,
B1,
yes,
B2,
sir.
that is mu min, mu max. I got the locus of B1 and locus of B2. Okay. Then the first step of the procedure, it said that on the locus of B1, we have to plot multiple points. So just for demonstrating, we have plotted 3 points here. I've named it as curve 1, curve 2, and curve 3, because from B1 I have drawn a curve up to B2 for all these 3. Okay, so this was the first step. Just a minute. Okay. This was the first step. See, the second step is very clear. We need to determine 2 angles. The first angle is determinant of 90 minus mu min and determinant of 90 minus mu max. How I'm going to find out these angles? So this is our example. Let me draw it and show you. So for curve 1, I might be getting the linkages like this. From here to B2, B2 to B1, and B1 to Q. Okay, so this is M, this is Q. Similarly, for second curve, let me change the color now. The curve might be starting from here to B2, B2 to B1, B1 to Q. And similarly for third curve. So for every curve, you can see I can join this B2, B1, and I can join B2 to M and B1 to Q, and I can get the mechanism. So for every curve, I can get a individual mechanism. Okay. So for these individual mechanisms, I need to find out the angle 90 minus mu max and 90 minus mu min determinant. Is it clear? Just like for this one mechanism, we can find out 90 minus mu min and mu max. Similarly, for each and every curve, we are getting different mechanisms, and for every mechanisms, we can get mu min and mu max. Once I get mu min and mu max, I can find out these angles which are being asked for us. So I have got a set of angles now. Curve 1, I got what is 90 minus mu min, 90 minus mu max. Curve 2, I've got 90 minus mu min, 90 minus mu max, and so on. So I've got a set of these two angles for each and every curve. Once I get this database, then I'll just go to this plotting of the graph, wherein our x-axis represents the number of curve number or location of B, you can say. So it is curve 1, curve 2, curve 3, and so on. Y-axis, it simply represents 90 minus mu, not the determinant. It simply represents 90 minus mu, whose value I have written it starting from 0 to 60. It can go up to 80, 90 also. Okay, so this is y-axis. Now, once this chart is created, all I have to do is just go on plotting the values of 90 minus mu min and 90 minus mu max for each and every curve. So for curve 1, I have not plotted here. Let me start with curve number 2. Okay. So for curve number 2, you are going to get the first mark over here, 90 minus mu max. I'm going to get it as say 18 degrees. So I'm going to mark it over here. Say for same curve number 2, 90 minus mu min, I'm going to get it as 50 degrees. So I'm going to mark it over here. Okay. Now let me come to curve number 3. Here 90 minus mu max, I got it as 15 degrees. So I have marked it over here. And 90 minus mu min, I'm going to get it somewhere 42 degrees. So I'm marking it over here. Similarly, you do it for curve number 4 also. 90 minus mu max, you might get somewhere around 18 degrees. You're marking this and this. And for curve number 5, I'm getting the mark over here. So once all these marks are there, I'm just joining these marks by a smooth curve. I hope it is clear now. I'm just joining these marks of angles which are found out by a smooth curve. Have you understood this step now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the last step, very simple. Now in this chart, we are having two curves. One curve is of 90 minus mu min, one curve is of 90 minus mu max. Out of these two curves, which curve is having highest values of the angle? Whether it is this curve or whether it is this curve. Which curve is having the highest values of angle? I need you guys to answer.
90 minus mu min.
Yeah, the curve which is on the top side is obviously the curve which is having the highest range or highest values of angles. So I need to choose that curve which has highest values of angle. Okay, that means I need to discard this curve. This curve is of no use to me now. In this curve, I need to identify that point which is having the least angle of 90 minus mu. So you can see that this is the least angle of 90 minus mu that I'm going to get in this curve. Okay, so first step is, in the final step, the first point is, out of these two curves, identify the curve which has highest range of angles. So I have identified that curve. In that curve, find out the point which has the least angle of 90 minus mu. So this is the point that I can locate, and if I just trace it horizontally, I'm getting this as the angle, that is 40 degrees. So it says that whenever your angle 90 minus mu is equal to 40 degrees, that is your optimum design. Okay, so 90 minus mu must be equal to 40 degrees, that is your optimum design. Please note that this value 40, what I've got here, is just for a demonstration purpose. It is not that all mechanisms will give you this 40. Just for your demonstration purpose, I've taken these values. It can be something else also. Now let me know if you have any doubts here. We'll clear it off. Any doubts?
Sir, how did we trace the curves of the locus of B1 and B2?
Okay. See, one a particular point is. Okay, let me take. See, if I take B1, okay, with respect to point M, I can see that from B it has moved from this till here. That is from mu min to mu max. Okay, so I got to know the nature of this particular curve.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is only happening for mu min and mu max. But now when I'm talking about the locus, it is for the entire rotation of that particular crank, that is MA. So with the moment of point B with respect to point M has been extrapolated and traced with this curve. So it is nothing but the moment of point B with respect to point M. Even if I get few points, then I can extrapolate it, and the path that I'm going to trace, or the path that will be generated, is called as locus here. Similarly, the same step has to be repeated for point B2 also to trace the locus. And once this
Got
is
it.
done, then for every set, for every curve one, you need to get B1 and associated value of B2.
Sir, like all the curves, curve 1, curve 2, and curve 3 are like offset with that line joining the B1 and B2 in the left side, right?
See, now whatever I've drawn here, okay, this is not how it might look.
Yes.
What we are studying in this particular today's class is only the procedure of how the optimum transmission angle is obtained. This is the procedure that we need to understand. This line B1 and B2 of curve 1 and the line B1 B2 of curve 2 might not be exactly same.
Okay, sir.
Okay, depending upon your spacing, where how many points you are taking, it might slightly vary, not much, because it will be with so many points you will almost get the same line. But I'm not focusing my teaching on how these lines are supposed to look, that is the curves. The focus of this particular class is only to understand the procedure of getting the optimum transmission angle, that is mu. Okay, so with this step we can get the optimum design here as shown in the graph. Okay, this is
Okay.
only the procedure is there for your syllabus point of view. We are not solving any numericals on this.
Okay.
If you see, what we are doing is only the crank rocker mechanism with optimum transmission angle. So the question could be of something this type: to explain with neat sketches the detailed procedure for obtaining the optimum design for crank rocker mechanism. Okay, so think let me check. Okay, so if you just go to classwork in unit number 2, I have posted this optimum transmission angle PDF. Okay, if you just open this PDF, right from the beginning, I've given you the notes. So mechanical advantage, what it is, how the transmission angle is coming. Then in the next page we have this diagram, then the equation, then what is mu min, mu max, how it looks, what is the combination of these diagrams, how the locus is taking place, and the detailed explanation of entire procedure. So I've already written the detailed explanations and these notes have been posted, you can refer them. So this entire thing has to be written as an answer when this question comes to describe the process of obtaining optimum transmission angle in a 4-bar mechanism. Okay, so let me know if you have any doubts. If not, then we can wind up today's session. No doubts. Very good. Okay, thank you. Then we can wind up the session. You can leave the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.